I'm gonna read the entire lore of Dremel. This is 20 pages. I think Kiko and Balderic wrote this, pretty sure, or maybe one of the lore guys in the Dremel Discord. But I've been really getting back into the map, and I want to study up on the lore because I think it will be a lot more important to the actual gameplay for the next update of the map. There will be 2.2, which I am hoping comes out within the next month for the beta so that I can play it because I love this map. So, this is going to take a while. Let's just get into it. The realm of Dremel, the races, Vermari, born of divinity. The primary deities, Dremel, Virtuo, and Malice, all have their own races that can be considered extensions of themselves. Everyone in the realm can retrace their roots to a Vermari ancestor. The Vermari. The Vermari are the most common and the most basic race found in Dremel. They, like humans, have all sorts of variations depending on the region, ethnicity, and origin. They originated long ago in the first Avim and were born of the ancient primal tree. After several millennia, they are still by far the most widespread race in the realm. Their appearance is a standard humanoid, but they have antlers and horns that begin growing at around age 50. But some choose to cut them off as they grow very slowly. The average lifespan of a Vermari is 150 to 200 years. Vermari reach mental maturity around age 25, and sexual maturity as soon as their horns begin to grow in. The Vermari. The Vermari are Vermari that have been ascended by Virtuo, goddess of peace, perfection, and purity. The process to become a Vermari involves making a pilgrimage across the continent to the Kiln of Virtuo and receiving judgment from Virtuo herself. To become a Vermari requires utmost, almost unrealistic perfection. So these graceful beings are uncommon. Since they are praised for their perfection, they have huge inflated egos, yet are still respected by nearly everyone in the realm. Those that have faced Malice directly in battle are quickly humbled, if they manage to live, that is. They also very rarely have children out of fear they will not be as perfect as Virtuo expects. In past ages of war, Vermari were commonly deployed as elite soldiers of purity to carry out Virtuo's will and protect the land from Mal's pursuit of control. They have crystalline horns that can be cut off like Vermari, fair skin tone that is occasionally a light bluish color, and are typically very physically fit. Average lifespan of a Vermari is up to 1,500 years. The Malmari. The Malmari are Dremari and Vermari that have been twisted and corrupted by Malice, god of chaos, corruption, and conflict. Dremari are typically captured and brought to the Carmine, Mal's hellish sanctum so far in the southwest, and transformed using chaotic rites and runes. After their mutation, Malmari are used as simple cannon fodder in Mal's wars. Malmari reproduce rapidly as to further expand the armies. They also try to escape frequently, but only a few are successful. After that, they typically face a life of ridicule and racism, due to being the creation of the realm's most despised being. Some Malmari manage to escape Mal's grasp and start their own family in the world. Malmari have multiple skin tones, all based on reds, oranges, and yellows. They have multiple stubby horns sprouting out of their body, with larger ones being on their head. Again, those can be cut off. Because of their twisted form, they live to a max of 40 years if they are free from Mal. If not, the average would be 5. The Primal Caverns, where the first Vermari of the remade world were birthed. Dremel has slumbered for millennia, sealed away. The vibrant colored peaks represent Malice, Dremel, and Virtuo, from left to right. The Realm of Dremel. Aspect Covens, born of Drakes. The Aspects are dragon gods who assisted in the original creation of the world. Before Dremel, Virtuo, and Malice, while they are older, they are considerably less powerful. The Rite of Drakes. Every year, the Aspects come together to ascend a single Vermari into a Termari, a draconic humanoid. They face an intense trial on Lodar, the Mune home of the deities, and are reborn in a new body as Termari. Some forget their past life in the process, however, and go on to live questioning why they're so different. Termari are typically respected, but racism grows the further you go away from the Central Plains. As many view the Aspects as false gods, most Termari decided to make their home in Termia amongst the other Dragonborn. But given how only one is born a year, there's only a couple of tribes. Some Dragonborn decide to form with the other non-Tamari nomadic clans of Termia to go live a life on their own. Kiko, you need to relax with the amount of H's you use. Coven of Muzz. Great Beast Muzz, the aspect that has created all beasts within the realm, transforms dedicated followers into a beast-like form. Muzz was slain by a group of hunters in AV2 1583, almost 2,000 years ago. But a line of high priestesses that inherited his power have continued the rites of ascension to this very day. The Ascended of Muzz are referred to as Muzzmari. Muzzmari are typically accepted within the Heartwood, Mirajewel, and most of central Dremel, but face discrimination everywhere elsewhere. Those within the Coven of Muzz are referred to by common folk as the Druids. Seriously, every one of these guys has an H in their name. Coven of Dar. Abyssal Elder Dar is the eldest aspect that brought life to the sea. Dar's domain lies deep within the Severn Ocean, hidden away from the rest of the world. Dar's coven is the largest, but also the most difficult to get entry to, and its members are very rarely seen within Dremel. The most dedicated of the Coven of Dar are ascended to become the Darmari, so that they may traverse their oceanic home better and attune themselves with Dar. Those within the Coven of Dar are referred to by common folk as the Abyssals. Coven of Relay. Relay. Zephyr Relay, aspect of wind, considers the sky to be a privilege only worthy to those who respect it as if it were a living, breathing entity. Relay extends this privilege to certain Dremari who wish to be as free as a bird, turning them to Rihimari. Because of this, the Coven of Relay is spread across the land with no centralized home. Encounters with the Relay are rare and spontaneous, even for the most dedicated to his coven. Those within the Coven of Relay are commonly referred to by common folk as the Skyborn. Coven of Ko. The aspect of stone, wise worm Ko, is responsible for carving the underground of the old world. Ko secludes himself to the underground tunnel networks, inducting lost spelunkers and downtrodden miners into his coven. The Coven of Ko is ever moving through the underground, not staying in one place for very long. Few ever see the light of day again once inducted into the coven, and they find themselves much happier for it. Ko will ascend his most devout and intelligent followers to become Komari, so that they may better traverse the caves alone. Komari typically face discrimination for their odd reptilian appearances, specifically in areas of the world that don't see a lot of mining or spelunking. As Komari rarely leave the caves, common Dremari are rather taken aback by an encounter with one. Those within the Coven of Ko are commonly referred to by common folk as the Underdwellers. Oh, this one doesn't have an H. Coven of Lai. Lai, the bright worm aspect of warmth, is known for his vast amounts of kindness. His true warmth, the Coven of Lai, is arguably the easiest of the aspect covens to gain entry to, as Lai will take any neglected soul under his ever-glowing wings. This coven makes their home amongst the lava lakes of Totoron, far to the north in Fairsile. Those who display true empathy, kindness, and utmost devotion to Lai are ascended to become the ever-fiery Lamari. Those within the aspect of Lai are referred to by the common folks as the Bright Ones. Termia, otherwise known as the Purity Peaks, the Termi people, those who call this their homeland are one of the last few civilizations where aspect worship is more common than deity worship. So the Dragonborn are in Purity Peaks. That's really interesting. Constructs of Avsam, born of the Arcane. The Avsamic Empire dominated the Second Avim, bringing a period of extreme technological advancement and relative peace through the use of a highly powerful crystalline substance. Avsam was able to craft highly advanced weaponry, vehicles, and computation systems. One such result of this technology are automatons, with a limited machine intelligence built solely for combat. These constructs were built towards the closing of Avsam's reign and never left the experimental stage. A small number of constructs were ordered by the were recovered by the Order of Insom in the Third Avim, and were restored to functionality by some of the top arcanists of the time. Somehow, through the restoration process, these arcanists turned the limited machine intelligence into a conscious, emotional intelligence. Mount Ebonfire was the Avsamic Empire's weapons testing ground, and is where most of these runic combat constructs have been recovered. Today, Malice uses the people of the nearby town of Ebonrun as slaves to strip the region of its precious resources. Forsaken of Dremel, born of atrocity, some things are born that should never be born. Abominate Children. Abominate Children. This strange subrace of Vermari has many names, typically spoken with some level of disdain. The birth of an abominate child is rare, and there's no way of knowing if a child is an abominate until their teenage years. These Vermari grow rapidly and tower above the average person at 7 to 8 feet tall, even though Minecraft is measured in meters. Sorry. They're highly resilient, strong, and most terrifyingly, extremely apathetic. They do not care much for others, and rarely understand their own strength. If a child is discovered to be an abominate, they will almost always be driven off into the mountains by their community. Abominate children will either live alone in the mountains, or find others like them and form small tribes with their own unique cultures. In appearance, abominate children have little to no body hair, remaining completely bald throughout their lives. They grow to be 7 to 8 feet tall and are naturally very muscular with pale skin tones, having been forced to live among the snow. It is a complete mystery as to what causes this mutation in Vermari. So are these literally abominable snowmen? Are these snow golems? I have to censor this out so there is a cut. Vermari. In the eyes of a Vermari, the only thing worse than a male Mari is a male Mari that's half Vermari. Not being given a true name, these hybrids are hatefully referred to as Mari, translating into common as creation. Censor that. Skin color ranges from ash gray to pale red, deformed antlers that begin growing from age 15, and taller or shorter than average height. Mari typically only live to be about 75, and experience many physical problems in their later years. Dremel's mountain ranges are considered forbidden lands by most due to their treacherous, barren landscape. It is a place wanted by none, and thusly fit for misanthropes wanted by none. Magic and religion. This section covers some of the forces that drive the realm and its inhabitants, the different types of magic and dominant religions. Of Dremel. Types of magics. There are 4 types of magic in Dremel. Runic magic, being the most basic of the form, is simply magical runes transcribed onto objects. These would be the equivalent of catalysts or various magical items that don't require magical skills. Despite being the most basic, runic magic has the potential to create incredibly complex machines and produce powerful spells given the right catalysts. Arcane magic uses the same principles as runic magic, but the runes are instead transcribed into one's body, allowing the casting of spells without a catalyst. Transcription of these runes most commonly comes from the form of tattoos and/or antler carvings. If you are playing a magic user that mainly uses spells that don't require a physical catalyst, such as a wand or staff, then you would most likely be heavily tattooed. By the way, if you're wondering about if you are playing, Dremel is also a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, I'm pretty sure. Tattoo pigmentation can closely match your skin color if you wish for it to be not to be as visible. Most arcanists, however, wear their runes with pride. Divine magic is that which the deities and the aspects use. Divine magic does not require the usage of runes, but rather spoken incantations or mental focus. Very few mortals can ever hope to wield such power, and only the most powerful master full of casters can harness divine magic. Primal magic is an oddity that very loosely fits into the definition of magic. It is more of an energy of sorts, where everything draws its power from. All magic is believed to be traced back to primal energy. Its presence became public knowledge as the Order of Avsam uncovered trace amounts of it in a select few ancient Avsamic facilities. Its true potential is unknown, and it is theorized to be extremely dangerous. The Order of Avsam was able to harness it to an extent and create weapons of immense power. With great limitation on usage due to the fact that catalysts capable of harnessing primal magic are exceptionally rare, its origin is a complete mystery. I'm willing to bet that it's mythoclast. Potentia. Potentia is the unit of measurement for how much potential energy / magic an object can hold. Everything from dirt particles to the crystals on the Island of Dawn has potentia. Some things simply have more magic capacity and affinity than others. Through the usage of runes created by Mystic Elder Kive, aspect of the arcane, potentia can be channeled into physical manifestations. Some objects naturally have more potentia than others, depending on how connected they are to the deities and aspects. Sometime in the second Avim, the Avsamic Empire discovered a unique crystal called Rentite. Regarded as the highest potentia substance to ever be discovered, most Rentite has unfortunately disappeared and its source lost to time. Once every few centuries, someone is born with a natural, nigh unlimited amount of potentia. These incredibly lucky individuals are able to cast spells of unimaginable strength or perform feats that only the deities could do. A few examples of these arcanists throughout history are the Tide Queen, who used her potentia for immortality, the Verdant Mistress, who used hers to create a massive, ever-changing mountain labyrinth to protect the east from malice, and Homage Swamp, who froze the entire north, changing climate everywhere in what became known as the Frostfang Catastrophe. The Tide Queen and Verdant Mistress had this ability from birth, but Homage Swamp did not possess it until much later in his life. It is theorized that all Vermari innately possess this ability of unlocked limited potentia, and that it simply lies dormant. Homage seemed to have found the key to unlocking unlimited potentia, but that secret unfortunately died with him. Perhaps for the better. It is unknown what causes a Vermari to be born naturally with the ability to wield unlimited potentia. Many theories suggest that it is the doing of Mystic Elder Kive. Religions and deities. Religion and belief in the deities has always been an important part of Dremel, but as of late, faith has been dwindling greatly. Many have begun to question if the deities, and if Dremel itself, cares for them. All of the deities make their home on the celestial moon of Dar. Dar is a beautiful paradise filled with temples, palaces, everything fit for a group of gods. It used to be a barren rock before the aspects traveled there to make it their home, inviting Dremel, Malice, and Virtuo once it was complete. The main deities do not live there physically, however, and are only able to project themselves there in a way that non-deities would see as dreaming. The most common religion is the worship of Virtuo, the goddess of peace, purity, and perfection. Her sanctum is in the far southeastern region of the realm, within the Kiln of Virtuo. The Kiln is a beautiful temple palace, fit to house thousands of religious pilgrims. Virtuo was known to meet with many people a day, unlike every other deity, to the misery of her followers and people across the realm. Virtuo has been dormant since the beginning of the 4th Avim. The Kiln is still maintained by her followers, but less and less pilgrimages are being made to the temple. I'm willing to bet this is the large building that we see in the teasers for 2.2, because the current Kiln of Virtuo is very small. The worship of Dremel, the final aspect, closely follows behind Virtuo as the second most common religion in the realm. Dremel, the creator of the New World, is an enormous snake the size of mountains. They represent neutrality and non-interference. They have been slumbering within the Primal Caverns at the center of the world since the dawn of the second Avim. Many have claimed to have spoken with Dremel, but none have been able to prove it. All souls in the realm, even those who not directly worship Dremel, all anticipate its return, yet many are beginning to lose hope. The worship of Malice is found in the form of Neo-Malmarism. Neo-Malmari follow a cult-like mentality, devoting themselves to Malice in the hopes of one day ascending to become a Malmari and serve closer to him. Neo-Malmari have existed since the second Avim, but only recently have they gained a more significant following, as Mal holds down the control of the West and exerts pressure on other regions. More and more Vermari see devotion to him as the only means of long-term survival as a species. Neo-Malmari are most commonly found in the west, with the entire town of Ebon being mostly Neo-Malmari. The aspects are the ancient dragon gods of the realm, created untold millennia before Dremel, Malice, and Virtuo were born into existence. There are 22 aspects in total, 4 of them being deceased. Each represents a different aspect of the world and created that aspect in the first Avim. Below is a list of them. Aspects in the first column are the originals, the second column are their children, and in the third is their grandchildren. If you would like more information about a specific aspect, just find or ask, just ask or find their coven in the races section above. Green, alive, residing on Lodar, 11. Blue, alive, residing on Dremel, 7. Red, deceased, 4. So, goes children, grandchildren. Okay, so Mystic Elder Kive, the great arcane aspect, is on Lodar. Landfall Drake Tygel, great land aspect, is on Lodar. Tygel's son, or Tygel's child, I guess. Summit Drake Nain, the mountain aspect, is on Lodar. And then Nain's child, Wise Worm Co., the aspect of stone, is on Dremel, down underneath. Tygel has a second child, Noav Meadows, the plain aspect, who is deceased. And they have a child, Lars, the ever-flourish aspect of growth, who's on Lodar. Dang, I didn't know Noah was dead. That's interesting. Don't know why. Abyssal Elder Dar, the great sea aspect. Their child is Waterworm Darrell, aspect of water. Oh, the sea aspect is on Dremel, aspect of water is on Lodar. Tempest Palisades, the aspect of storms, is dead. So sad. Starrise Drake Rahelma. The great sky aspect is on Dremel. Zephyr Relay, the aspect of wind, is also on Dremel. And their child is Tempest Palisades, the aspect of storms, who is dead. Wait, hold on. That is confusing. There are 2. So Dar and Relay had a child together, and that was Tempest Palisades? That makes sense. It's the aspect of wind and the aspect of sea. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. That's interesting. I think that might be the only one to have, like, 2 aspect parents, I guess, maybe. Lie, the bright worm, the aspect of warmth, is on Dremel. Their child, Infernal Layloan, the aspect of fire, is on Lodar. The Glacial Elder Low, the aspect of coal, is on Lodar. And a Low Lane, the avalanche aspect of snow, is on Dremel. Soul Stealer Voinala, the aspect of death, is dead. Okay. The death aspect is dead. Lifebringer Veinikla, aspect of life, is on Lodar. Their child Lars, the Everflourish, is on Lodar. And their other child Mari, the Great Jamari, aspect of man, is on Dremel. And they have 3 children. The Abominate Main, aspect of hate, who is on Lodar. Kind Worm Moen, aspect of love, who is on Lodar. Teth Lane, the Everfear, aspect of fear, who is totally dead and not somewhere hidden. And then Great Beast Muzz, beast aspect, who is dead. Okay. That's a lot to take in. Worship of the aspects has grown less popular over time, has slowly grown less popular over time, but some civilizations like Termia or the Western Fersilian tribes still do. The least common religion is that which involves unlimited Potentia users, such as the Tide Queen, Verdant Mistress, and Homely Togzin. Worship of these people is seen as going against the deities, and thus their followers are frequently persecuted, and most popular of these mini-religions is that worships the Verdant Mistress, as she has done little to no harm to the others, unlike the Tide Queen, who has committed several atrocities, and Homely Togzin, who froze the north. The island where the Kiln of Virtuo lies, it is considered to be one of the most beautiful and serene places in the realm. I don't see the building at all. Regions and civilizations. There are many different regions in Dremel, each with their own unique climates, biomes, people, and cultures. Below is a summary of the dominant cultures and where they are from. Central Plains, Drenoa. So many H's. The people of the Central Plains are typical feudalistic medieval society set in a They live in a society. Set in a grassy plain. Many different kingdoms claim this land, with the largest being Durend. Durend is considered to be the most influential power within Drenoa, despite its territory only covering the western edges of the plains. The plains is the birthplace of the Avsamic Empire, and where the Primal Caverns, Dremel's resting place, lies. The West. Merijul. The Merijul Peninsula was once a lush jungle, but with the Frostfang catastrophe of AV2 1646, climate change has... Ooh, that's real. Climate change rapidly cooled the area... Oh, that's not what that does. That makes it hotter. Climate change rapidly cooled the area and turned it into an autumnal forest. Okay, I'm done with the stupid jokes. Throughout history, the people of Merijul have suffered internal conflicts and civil wars because of differing aspect religions lie the Brightworm in the west and Glacial Elder Low in the east. Only recently have they overcome their religious differences to form under a single atheistic society. There is also a short period of their history where they worshipped Malice. Okay. Kasai. The Kasai Peninsula, not unlike Merijul, was once a very different place. With the Frostfang catastrophe, the hot desert morphed into a land of striking contrast. Red sand topped with snow and pillars of ice. The Kasaian are fierce warriors with a great pride for their homeland. At the advent of the Third Avim, they were forced to migrate east due to the threat of invasion by Malice. Despite many returning to the area after being recaptured from Mail and Insaw much later in the Third Avim, the Kasaian people remain mostly scattered. Ebonfire and the Ebony Veld. These regions go hand in hand despite their vastly different geography. Ebonfire is a rocky wasteland with the realm's second largest volcano at its center, and the Veld is a lush, dry savanna around the southern and eastern sides of Ebonfire. They are named this way because of the dark volcanic rock in the regions and how the sky would be blotted out by eruptions in early Second Avim. The Veld, I assume AV2 is Second Avim. The Veld is mostly uninhabited, ruled by nature, with only a few tribal societies. Where Ebonfire, however, lies the small mining town of Ebonrun. Today, the people of Ebonrun were used as slaves by Malice to strip Ebonfire of its precious resources. The Red Dawn, an alchemist organization during the Avsamic times, was also centered here, and many of their ruined facilities can still be found. The region is currently under control by Malice. The Red Dawn are kind of interesting. There is an area in the Ebony Veld where you can see a Netherbrook building, and it has... I think it spawns zombies that hold blaze rods, and that's how you get blaze rods easily. Maybe that's the Red Dawn. Tharax Planes. This region can hardly be called plains with its high cliffs and vast plateaus. These geographical difficulties have made it an incredibly difficult region to conquer throughout history, leaving it the only area in the far west to be currently unconquered by Malice at the time, despite him having taken full control of the west previously. Over time, its people have had to adapt to being so close to Mael's sanctum, and as such have created a strong militaristic society. At the moment, its southern, flatter regions are controlled by Mael, while the northern regions remain unoccupied. The Homage Swamp. Long ago, this deep bog was once the largest lake in all of Dremel, but natural processes have slowly turned it into a damp, flooded rainforest. No Vermari civilization in history has ever attempted to conquer the swamp because of its size and confusing nature. Because of how difficult it is to traverse, it has become a haven for criminals, necromancers, and all who wish to conduct illegal or forbidden activities. Some tribes are known to occupy the region, but they are few and far between. The swamp is currently controlled by Malice, though few patrols pass through it. Anarnager, otherwise known as the Golden Sands, is the largest desert. Oh my gosh. Excuse me. The Golden Sands is the largest desert in the realm. It is uninhabitable other than the few oases spotted around the sands and the small jungle along its coast. It was colonized by the Kasaian people long ago, but after several millennia, the colonies grew apart and developed their own separate culture, still deeply rooted in the Kasaian culture. The area is under intense supervision by Malice's generals due to its strategic position, and because of this most of its people have migrated north to the Ebony Veld, Ebon Fire, and Kasai. Those that do remain stay hidden within the coastal rainforest or inside the cave network in the canyon within the... Jeez. Talk right. Those that do remain stay hidden within the coastal rainforest or inside the cave networks in the canyon at the desert's heart. A plateau in the middle of Anarnager was once home to the ancient Avsamic city stronghold of Sail Anir, which historically was Avsamic's base of military operations. At the start of the Third Avim, it was captured by Malice and used as a launching point for his swift conquering of the west. A huge volcanic scar is left on the southern tip of Anarnager from when Malice first invaded. Loran Kal. Loran Kal is a verdant jungle filled with giant bonsai trees. The largest coral reef in the realm is also found here. Despite its proximity to Malice, it is home to a single kingdom that uses guerrilla warfare to fight back the constant threat of the war deity. Unfortunately, the kingdom and its people are hated by most due to its controversial past. In Second Avim, Loran Kal was home to a necromancy-focused society called the Trimoon Theocracy. The Trimoon Theocracy at one point lost control of their army of the dead, leading to massive slaughter of Vermari and the fall of their own society. Necromancy is still considered forbidden in modern-day Loran Kal, but many cults and tribes still practice it. Giant bonsai trees. Palisades Heath, Teva Rehalma. Oh my gosh, the H's. The Heath is an array of rough cliffs, steep drops, and grand fjords. Despite being towards the southern end of the continent, the Heath is quite frigid because of its height. It has been home to a few nations in the past, but they have always struggled due to how shattered and difficult to traverse the region is. Only one kingdom remains, the Tava Earldom. The Earldom enforces a strong navy and uses it to conduct raids along the coasts of the mouth of Dremel, an inland sea. Tava is considered a blight that should be pulled from its roots, and thus many nations in the regions have waged war against the Earldom. The people of Tava in themselves are strong warriors with a natural affinity for navigation and the ocean, despite the fact that they live on cliffs. Many merchants and traders also have stakes in Tava because of its geopolitical importance, a gateway between the Central Plains and the West. The Carmine and the Hell Crags. The Carmine is Malice's outer sanctum, while the Hell Crags is his inner sanctum. No one lives here other than the Malmari slave workers and warriors. It's an orange, sandy wasteland with red streaks going across the dunes, lava pits, tall cliffs, and intimidating spires are spread across the Carmine. To get to the Hell Crags, one must pass through the Crimson Gorge, a vast network of valleys and crevices that form a deadly maze. This is where most Malmari are made and born. The only thing that is known about the Hell Crags is that it is a massive magma-filled caldera. I don't know why I said that with a hard R, like Spanish. With Mael's burnt palace somewhere at the center. Nobody has ever traveled to the Hell Crags and lived, and no sane soul would choose to travel there or to the Carmine. The East. Termia, the Purity Peaks. Termia is a beautiful land of rolling hills, lush forests, and large outcroppings of pure white rock, hence the name Purity Peaks. Long ago it was filled with followers of Virtuo, but during the Second Avim it housed a kingdom that worshipped the aspects, the old dragon gods. Their culture revolves around the aspects, and much of their art and architecture features drakes, worms, and serpents. The nation has been conquered many times throughout history because of Termia's location between three rivaling nations, the kingdoms of Drenoa, the Gozak Union, and the Kingdom of Dusps. Because of this, the people have transitioned from castles and cities to be more nomadic. They do still have their old capital city of Saltermis, but it functions more as a city-state and trading center than a capital. The Heartwood. This forest is a thick collection of hardy trees that grow wildly. These trees are very difficult to maneuver around and have come to encompass a huge region. Most of the area remains unexplored because of the dense canopy and the difficulty of traversal. The people that inhabit this area, the Gozaki, or the Gozakai, have long struggled with the never-ending growth. Eventually, they began constructing out of the tree's strong roots because the stone they used to build became embedded with them. There are two sides to the people of the Heartwood, those that wish to become more in tune with the nature around them and embrace it, while others wish to try and develop a method of halting the growth. They primarily serve Virtuo and Dremel through the worship of Lars. The aspect of growth is also common. The Gozaki are said to hate Malus more than all because of the crimes he has committed against them. He did kind of destroy half the Heartwood. Male's Desolation. The beginning of the Third Avim is marked by the fall of Avsam and the start of the Dune Wars. Malus began his conquest, and the Vermari fought back. In AV 3-8, Virtuo deployed her Vermari to help in the fight. In response, Malus used a creature of immense power to completely decimate more than half of the Heartwood. Decimate means 1/10. I feel like... what's the word for just having something? There has to be a cooler word than having. Half of the Heartwood. This act of destruction was meant as a threat to Virtuo, telling her to withdraw her forces or her kiln would see the same fate as the southern Heartwood. Nearly 2 millennia later, Male's Desolation remains uninhabitable. The Vermari who decide to live here are outcasts, the forlorn, mining crews, and pirates who raid the southern ocean. The Black Jungle. This region of Dremel is arguably the most dangerous area in the realm, other than Male's Sanctum. It's a vast, dense jungle with white and blue cragged mountains and intense volcanic activity. The jungle features many rivers of lava and swaths of land that are uninhabitable because of ashfall. The area was under the control of the Kingdom of Vir in early Second Avim, before a civil war shattered the nation. Leaving the Black Jungle without rule, the Tide Queen, a woman of unlimited potentia, rose up to unite the Black Jungle under the Tidal Dynasty. It would be over 1,000 years later before her rule would end by the hand of a group of assassins sent by the Order of Avsam. Today, the jungle is ruled by the democratic Tidal Republic. It remains fairly isolated, so its cultures and customs have become quite different from the rest of the realms. The Vermari of the jungle are considered to be Virtuo's most devout followers, being so close to her sanctum. They take pride in the peace, purity, and perfection of their nation. Spearhead Forest. The Spearhead Forest is a huge coniferous forest of tall spear-shaped trees, cold waters, snow-capped mountains, and flowered plains. It served as the primary place for refugees from the west after the fall of Avsam. It also served as the birthplace of the Order of Avsam and location of their capital. Even though Avsam's destruction was a millennia ago, the forest remains to be the most diverse area in all of Dremel because of the sheer number of descendants from the refugees. In the modern day, the forest is ruled by 3 nations. The province of Vir, the largest of the 3, the dukedom of Thrasund, I guess, and the Insamic Commonwealth. Since the collapse of the Order, the Insamic Commonwealth has gone from the political center of the realm to a kingdom on par with those around it. Despite Spearhead's diversity, it remains among the most peaceful areas in Dremel. Many focus on art here, either through painting, theater, I don't know why I said it like that, theater, sculpture, or architecture. Those who aren't talented in the arts will most likely be fishermen or lumberjacks. Ochloroma. Ochloroma is one of the most exotic and visually appealing lands in all of Dremel. Thanks to the presence of a massive arcane lake beneath it, this region is famous for its ginormous flowers that cover the landscape. This land's beauty, however, is sharply contrasted by the Kingdom of Dusp and what lies beneath the multicolored hills. In the Second Avim, the Avsamic Empire constructed a vast crypt beneath the hills to store the corpses of Dremel's most vile and notorious people. The crypts use the arcane lake's magic as a ward to prevent necromancy in the region, assuring that the evil dead remain dead. Through the Third Avim, the Kingdom of Dust became notorious for its hostile and aggressive nature towards its own people and its neighbors. They are incredibly prideful of their own culture and land, going as far as to attempt to assimilate other peoples, such as the Termi to the south. This hostile nature came to a halt, however, in AV 3558. Ultva Utafel performed a coup and overhauled the Duspian government to free it of corruption and oppressive tendencies. Ultva would soon go on to found the Order of Insom with Havid Shir Mirik. During the time of Insom, an arcane academy called the Golden Order was established here, and Aklaroma became the magical capital of the world to this day. One thing I'm super not clear on the lore in, obviously, spoilers real quick for 2.1 if you haven't played it all the way through. Ultva and Havid Shir are the two final bosses because Yellow basically took them. I still don't understand what Insom did that made Mythoclast angry at them. I understand Avsam. Avsam, I'm pretty sure they were the ones that were mining into Mount Yavhelix. So I don't understand why these two guys who formed Insom made Yellow mad at them. Is that who the worm went after? The big worm that created the black tunnel under Rentite? I'm not super clear on that lore. And Insom and Avsam always confuse me. Anyways. Highfall. The Highfall Tundra is an extensive, rocky, icy plain covered in brown grasses and lichen. The southernmost regions feature mountains and rocky cliffs, while the further north you go, the flatter and snowier it gets. Along the coast is an inlet with a large island, which the city of Highfall is built upon. The city used to be the trading capital of the East, functioning as a checkpoint for ships traveling around Fairsile to get to the east and back. After the Frostfang catastrophe froze the north in AV2, passage around Fairsile became impossible due to all of the ice. Now Highfall sits in one of the most remote places in the realm, a rich trading city fallen from grace. They do still receive a small amount of income because of a few trading posts at the edges of its tundra, but it is nothing compared to what they used to have. They are constantly trying to expand their borders to warmer, more livable regions, but their neighbors are far stronger than them, so expansion is very difficult. In the modern day, they are focused on fishing and hunting. Many still claim Highfall to be a beautiful, rich city as a ploy to attract visitors, but those that do travel there are sorely disappointed. Fairsile. Before the Frostfang catastrophe of AV2, Fairsile was a moderately cold plain with a couple of trade cities. The Frostfang tribes were the most prominent people of the region and were hunter-gatherers who worshipped Loelain of the Avalanche aspect of snow. In AV2, Avsam moved in to begin mining operations in Mount Yavhelix to discover a mysterious energy at the mountain's heart. Tensions rose between the tribes and Avsam until it came to a peak when Homage Swamp, a man with unlimited Potentia, froze the north, becoming known as the Frostfang catastrophe. Fairsile became a barren, snowy wasteland. The Frostfang tribes went into hiding or abandoned their ways to live elsewhere. Today there are two dominant people that inhabit Fairsile. In the west is the weak Duchy of Hishrin, and in the east are unnamed nomadic tribes. These tribes worship the deceased Tethlain, aspect of fear, who was said to have flown too far north into the unknown and never returned. For this region, their culture revolves around the fear of the unknowable and forbidden knowledge. The Frostfang tribes still exist to this day and worship Homage Swamp, but there are very few of them left. Region map. The realm of Dremel. Gray areas are Dremel's mighty mountain ranges, which have served as a natural border for all, including Malice himself. The small light green area south of Dranoa and north of Loran Call is the Palisades Heath. Wait, what? Hold on. North? Oh, that. Why is it not labeled? That's strange. So I guess that counts as Spearhead Forest. Interesting. Also, the Verdant Labyrinth isn't there. I thought Spearhead Forest went out into the ocean more, honestly. Anyways. Extra links. Here are some extra links to various documents about the world and its lore. Simplified timeline. And this is the simplified timeline. I'm not going to read all this. So yeah, that was the entire lore of Dremel real quick. All of the stuff about deities, aspects, different people of the lands. Very interesting. Yeah. So many H's. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Dictator Shadow, and I'm excited for 2.2. I will see you guys later. Goodbye.